One step after the next is not okay to roll. Trying to wade through the rain, pain, and the cold. One step after the next. You take one step.
Social media, what is up? It is a GSD guy, Jerry Smith, and do I have a delight tonight for you? But first, I got to hear that song again. Q, can you play that song for me again? Because that shit is hot, and I need to get it hyped up. We'll do the froggy for our guest. All right, guys, listen. Tonight, I have an absolute delight for you. We are going to talk a little bit about just motivating people, inspiring people, and of course, on the GSD channel, we're going to help some people out. Tonight, my friend, I have this dude on set that started at Domino's, went to a scale house, which nobody on set knows what the fucking scale house is, okay, pardon my French, to collections at $10 an hour, to collection manager, to site manager, operations manager, and self-employed entrepreneur, dad, and homeowner in the suburbs. God damn, it is my pleasure to welcome Chris Natoli. Natoli, what is up, my friend?
Everything's fantastic, man. It's awesome to be here.
Listen, you got so much shit going on. I got to bring a copybook, and I had to bring my phone tonight. There's just so much stuff going on tonight. But you know, on the GSD channel, here's what we got to do. We want to help people out, right? So we want to inspire people. And the term getting shit done, we really want to show people how to get shit done. And I don't think there's a better person to talk about it at right now, because you've gone through all those things. And what's the scale? The scale house. Tell me that there's backstory to the scale house.
So the whole thing about the scale house is, real quick, it's a house, trucks go on, dump their shit, come off, you pay them, the scale master. But
Scale master.
I was scale master.
Damn, yo ball, scale master.
Don't knock it.
I'm not knocking it. It sounds cool as shit.
We made a shit ton of money every day. I'm not going to get into how we did it.
And how old were you at this point?
I was like 17.
So getting shit done as a teenager.
As a fucking teenager.
That's what I'm talking about, though. Getting shit done. So you found a way, you're making money, and then you go collections. We won't name the company that you started with, but it wasn't the cool-ass company that you came to.
No, but it's where I met your producer over there.
Well, that's another story. Where he's not. This is my show.
Listen,
real quick. We also we're going to get into it, and it's very important. Vern, you got to cut us off because I've known this dude for 20 years. We could get sideways real quick, but I want to thank you for still coming on the show, because my partner and producer spelled your name wrong about 18 times, and you still came on the show. Thank you so much.
Look, hey,
much respect.
It's for you. I'll deal with him another time.
Yeah, I'm gonna deal with you too. Like, you can't see him, but he's going to be dealt with. Anyway, so you have so much to talk about. You know, you really catapulted, I guess, really, I would say financially, it seemed like, when you went into the collections world, because you were a bad son of a gun on the phone. Mm-hmm. Like, literally bad. Yeah, not bad meaning bad, but bad meaning good, and bad meaning bad, literally. Tell us a little bit about the start into the collections world that really launched you.
So I got into collections from my brother. I got into it in 1998. My brother was working at this agency while he was in college. So after I graduated high school, I did the same thing. He got me in, and I was there for 2 years, but I really didn't understand what the job was, right? Like, to me, it was just a job. So I knew what I had to do. There was a script, whatever, and I knew what the objective was, but I didn't really understand it. So it wasn't until 2 years later, when I met you, that I really started to understand what the industry was, and it gave me really a good blueprint of how business works and finance works and everything like that. So
that's when you took the elevator to the top floor.
I sure as shit did, man.
Up top. Up top. You're a unicorn, because a lot of people in this industry really struggle with their personal credit as they're collecting bills and whatnot. You were another story, though. You didn't have that problem. You had a pretty good upbringing, a good education, and your parents really taught you, which I think is so key, because I remember you just buying cars, and you were giving me money advice a little bit too. So tell us a little bit about that, because that's where this company and this idea was really came about, was to learn more and to teach more, right? To get it out to the kids, to get it out to people that are struggling, because there's a lot of people maybe going through a divorce, struggling to get back on their feet. That's probably more my lane, but I really want to get the kids involved, and I want to make sure they don't even get to that point, or as best as possible. So tell us a little bit about that, because I find it so interesting that you had that great start.
So my first real exposure to anything finance related was in high school. I remember we had a class that taught us how to balance your checking account and manage your money and stuff. But, I was 14, 13 years old, however old I was. So again, it was a class, and it gave me some exposure to that. But after the class, it was just out of sight, out of mind, right? When I started working, I was just constantly banking money because I was at that time I was 15, and I didn't really have shit to buy, right? Candy and stuff like that.
But it's key, though. Right? You're banking money. I definitely wasn't doing that. I earned money, and I went and bought a TV from after being a busboy. But I'm 15, and I didn't really have a need for anything. I'd buy some shit here and there, but for the most part, I didn't really have anything to buy. I was, a kid hanging out with my boys in the neighborhood and stuff. So I was just, for no other reason other than just I needed a place to put it, so I was just putting in the bank account. I didn't really know. And then, I would talk to my boss after I would deposit my paycheck, and I would just say, like, holy shit, man, I got like $5,000 in the bank. And my boss was like taken back by that. He's like, damn, you really got $5,000 or whatever it was. And then so now it was like, wow, he's impressed. So every time I went to cash my check or deposit my check, I would go back and be like, hey, Rick, man, guess what my balance is at? $8,000. Now it's at $10,000. I swear to God, at one point, I left it when I was 17. But I think by the time I was 16, I had like $12,000 saved just from fucking working at Domino's. So tell us a little bit more about this, right? Going to be some high school kids out there listening to this right now, getting that early start. They're going to want to go, and off camera. I was talking to Rock, and he was talking about how his grandkid was his son. His son was spending money left and right and not banking it. Where did that come from? Did you come up with that? Did your parents give you that education? Like, hey, put 10% away, put 15% away. Where did it come from?
So from what I can remember, my parents were always, advocates about, making smart money choices. But honestly, I don't really fully recall them sitting my brother and I down saying, this is the importance of saving money or anything like that. To me, it was really, I was impressing my boss, because every time I would cash my check or deposit my check, he would say, like, hey, what's your account at now? And he would tell, like, all these people, like, oh, you believe this little kid's got all this fucking money? So to me, that was my incentive, just to impress this guy. And my parents did say, like, you should be putting a portion away, but, there wasn't really that much home education. It wasn't until much later in life that I realized, like, what kind of sacrifices my parents did. Because my parents are from the same neighborhoods that you guys are all from. My mom went to Washington. My dad went to Judge.
Washington.
So they really, when my brother and I were born, they wanted to do everything possible to get out of the city, go into the suburbs, and give he and I, as good of a life as we could. But, we didn't really realize how rich or poor or anything like that, looking at it now, my parents didn't have shit, right? They spent all their money on us. So that education that my parents gave me as far as finances didn't come much later in life. It's not until it occurred to me, like, wow, these guys really actually did this shit behind the scenes. They weren't doing it they weren't saying to my brother and I, hey, look what we've done for you. It was, we're doing this, and then if you come to realization, you come to realization. For me, I came to that realization that, man, these guys really did, sacrifice. We didn't go on vacations and shit. We didn't have any good cars or anything like that. We had a nice house in a nice neighborhood. We had a good school district that we were in, but that was the extent of it. So anyway, so the story of that was, I didn't really get that education from my parents. They told us how to make the right choices and stuff like that, but they didn't really pry on it, is I guess what I'm saying.
So this is getting shit done at its greatest, okay? Self-taught, pretty much for the most part, with some good influences. Now, what about from the credit side of things? You start working as a collector. You advance pretty quickly. Like I said, you were really good at what you did. Phenomenal voice talent. I would say one of the best collectors We have a couple eyes on us right now looking. And
we'll settle that up later.
We'll settle all right. Well, we might. Vern, is there a ring back here anywhere? Maybe we put some, I don't know. We'll see what happens. But you did advance quickly. You learned a little bit about the credit and collections industry through the credit and collections industry, obviously.
By accident, by default, right?
Yeah. So, I mean, where else did it come from? Like you had to, you're getting credit cards. You have a ton of money. When did you get that first credit card, and how did you know how to use it or whatnot?
So my first taste of the real world as far as credit goes is when I was at Penn State. I was on the campus. They had a MasterCard was there, and they were giving out free gifts if you apply for this credit card. And I vividly remember being on, like, between classes. I was hungry as shit. They were giving out, like, candy or something like that. I was like, fuck it, man. I'll go ahead and I'll apply for this credit card. So they gave me whatever candy they gave me. I moved on. Next thing I know, I got this credit card in the mail. And I was like, all right, let me start using this credit card. Now, at this point, I'm like 19 or so. And
$100,000 in the bank.
$100,000 in the bank, right? But I'm not using that. I'm using the credit card. So that credit card now becomes food, clothes, alcohol, and that's what that credit card was used for. So next thing I know, I get a notice from the credit card company saying, hey, we're going to increase your limit. Okay.
Now, are you paying the balance off in full?
I'm not paying the balance off in full, so I'm making the minimum payments, right? So the minimum payments at that point were manageable, but they increased my credit limit. So now they increase it to, say, $5,000. Now I got an extra $5,000 to play around with. So more clothes, more food, more booze, more partying and everything like that, all on the credit card. My boys wanted something. We're at the mall. My boys want, put it on my card. Sure. Right? What the hell did I care? So
at this point, I'm sorry to cut you off. At this point, are you living on your own, or are you living with?
I'm living at home. I'm living at home with my parents. Yeah.
Okay. All right.
So, unbeknownst to my parents, they have no idea. I don't think that I even have a credit card. So I'm racking this card up, and next thing I know, like, the balance is so high, my payments are so high, my minimum payments are so high that I can't keep up with them. I think my minimum payments were like $500.
Yeah.
So I can't keep up with it. So eventually it gets to the point where I'm paying the minimum, but I'm late and whatever, and I got the interest and the late fees. It's all just absorbing that minimum payment. So that $500 that I'm paying really isn't going to shit. It's just going to the interest and everything. So I get so far behind that the card eventually charges off. There's shit I can do about it. I can't afford the monthly payments. So the credit card gets maxed out. I eventually go 6 to whatever months without paying it. Charges off. So now I'm getting contacts by the collection agencies. I ignore it. Then several months go by. Another collection agency is reaching out to me. I ignore it. Then another collection, each time more and more threatening. So now I finally get this very aggressive letter from this agency. So I'm like, shit, I got it. I have to address
tell us the name of that agency?
I really don't remember who it was, to be honest with you.
We'll throw them under the bus and say.
Honestly, I don't think they're in business anymore. And if I can remember, I think this was actually the first company that my brother got into when he got into collections. I think they were called CCCS or something like that. You might know who they are. I don't know if you
CCCS, yeah,
or CCS or something like that. But anyway, they're no longer in business anyhow. But so I contact them and I'm like, dude, I'm 19, whatever years old at this point, and I can't pay this. So we eventually came out with a settlement agreement. I paid 50%. I had to pay it within 3 months. At this point, the money that I had saved all went to this friggin' credit card settlement and everything. So at that moment is when it really occurred to me, like, I have to be a little more responsible. Even though now I am in, because at that point I was in, I think I was at my first agency. But again, like I said in the beginning, I didn't really understand what the industry was. I just knew what the job I was doing, but I didn't really understand it. So it wasn't until it actually hit me personally that I started understanding. I'm like, all right, now I get the importance of how to handle credit the right way, right? So that was really how I got exposed to the to that part of the industry, and then it just really
the pros, the cons,
yeah.
Getting the credit card, getting that responsibility, getting more responsibility, but never getting education. And I promise you this, and I promise you this, and I promise you, and you. I'll tell you what, we're going to fix that. We are going to get that education out there because we don't want that to happen. I guarantee it doesn't happen to Madden, right? Your son.
Absolutely
Damn
not.
sure ain't going to happen to Garrett or Adriana or Jace. It's not going to happen to my kids either. We're going to fix that, and we're going to fix that with the help of a lot of people. And that's why we're doing this show. But,
and let me tell you, if this was a resource at that time, nobody would even think about doing the things that they do with their credit cards, right? If this kind of education was out there, people would definitely make the right choices, or at least it would occur to them of what's
a little bit more. Hey, look, if we can cut into it a little bit, and the banks are going to love it because now they're going to get paid back a little bit more because people are educated. But damn it burns my bridges. I'm taking my jacket off right now. It burns my bridges. That's what I'm doing. Trying to help people out here and
working up a sweat, man.
It makes me angry. All right, so I want to segue here. So you go fast, you derail, you get back on track. But I got to talk about something else. I want to go a little greedy now because I've been so, is infatuated, I don't know if infatuated is the word. I don't know if I want to talk about that. Am I a stalker? But I've always loved your artwork. I've always loved your artwork. You drew pictures for me numerous times. And now, after you get out of collections, right? I mean, from the working standpoint, and we're going to get back to that. Don't worry, because this dude here has got a lot to offer. But I'm going to steal some time here and jump over to the artistic portion of this. Made by Natoli. Blows my mind. You are a tremendously talented artist. There's no doubt.
Appreciate that.
And now I see these shoes, and my God, man, like, holy shit. Please tell me where this came from, the idea of it. And I got to know where you see it's where is it going, because it's absolutely amazing to me. It really blows my mind.
So,
well, before we do that, this is going to be a perfect segue. We're talking about paying bills, so you know what we got to do. We're going to pay the bills. So listen, this episode is brought to you by Made by Natoli. You are talking about some of the dopest shoes you've ever seen. Not only are you going to want them for you, you're going to want them for your kids. They are absolutely amazing. And it just so happens I have the owner, founder, CEO. Is there any other things you want to throw in there?
COO, CFO.
COO, CMO, CFO. Made by Natoli. We're going to give you some more stuff about that later. But we got to pay the bills. I mean, it's a GSD corporation. That's what it's all based on. So, all right. Now that we've paid the bills, all right, this is your time. Tell us about it, because it blows my mind. And we're going to get some pictures later. Vern, we're going to get some pictures. We're going to throw these bad boys up there, because some of these shoes, I mean, they're crazy. Everybody's out here right now in the studio audience is going to want a pair. Go.
So I got into it actually right before the pandemic hit. A friend of mine was getting ready to go to Disney. She wanted a Disney-themed pair of shoes. She saw them online for an astronomical amount of money. And I was like, shit, man, I'll do them for you. Just give me the shoes. I'll do them. So gave me the shoes, painted them up, Finding Nemo, Dory theme, whatever. And she loved them, right? So I just posted them on my Instagram account. And the next thing I know, more and more people started liking it and then reaching out to me about it and saying, hey, man, this would be an awesome gift for my kids. And eventually it morphed into like adults wanting it. But yeah, I mean, so it kind of just, I fell ass backwards into it, really. But next thing I know, like my inbox was getting flooded by not only people that I knew, which is awesome, but, from posting it on Instagram, I started getting these strangers that were local, thankfully. They don't have to ship them out, but I had these local people that were just reaching out to me saying, man, like I would really like to get this done for birthdays, Christmas, all kinds of stuff. So, next thing I know, like just every week I'm getting a new order. And so, yeah, it's been pretty awesome. And the work's been steady and it's been awesome. That's what my degree is actually is in visual arts. So it gave me an opportunity to go back to that.
I want to give you an honorary degree in GSD too, because you're doing this not full time though. You're doing this all while you're working full time, running a collections operation the whole time.
Correct. So, I'm doing my normal 8 to 5. I get home at 6 o'clock. My wife's a teacher, so she spends her evenings after work doing lesson plans and grading and stuff like that. So when I get home from work, I cook dinner, we eat together.
Oh, wait a second. You're cooking dinner? Dude, what the... I'm giving up the show. I'm out.
Sunday through Thursday, my friend.
You're the new host of the GSD show.
Sunday through Thursday, man. I cook every night.
I make a bowl of cereal.
Hey, well,
but my son does love me and him. We have some. He calls it the tiger cheese.
As long as he likes it, man. That's the important thing.
All right, I interrupt you. I apologize. That blew my mind. I had to stop. I told you we were going to digress sometimes. It happens. But all right. So you're running operations at a collection spot. Mm-hmm. You're making dinner, and then how many 5-hour energies do you drink?
That's true. I don't want to blow a potential sponsor. So
don't blow it. Don't worry.
So I do not drink those. I drink lots of coffee though.
I drink 3 a day. At 5-hour energy, hit your boy up. All right. So
Folgers.
Well, we'll bring Folgers on too. Wow, we're gonna get all money. We're gonna get made by Natoli. We're gonna get. Oh yeah, don't worry about that. But so you are hustling, and guys, this is what I'm talking about right now. We're talking about not just credit and collections. We're talking about getting shit done, finding the time to get this done, making a dream happen, right? Because listen, no one in this room that has ever been in collections ever started out wanting to be a collector. I guarantee it. We talked about it in the first episode, the pilot with Bryan. Like, no one starts off wanting to do that. But it started into a career, but you didn't give up on it. And now you're hustling, you're running stuff, and you're still doing that. And I think it just blows my mind, and I think it's cool as hell.
Yeah, as far as like the GSD aspect of it, it's just utilizing. Look, there's 24 hours, man. So you utilize every one of those hours. So I'm doing my normal daytime work. I'm coming home. I'm doing something for the family. After dinner, I spend as much time with my son as I can before he has to go to bed. But once 8 o'clock hits, he's asleep. So now I have from 8 to whatever time I want to go to sleep to do my artwork.
To close this out, because I could talk to you all night. You know this. You started doing work on the collection side of things, working for an attorney, and you were working in the retail side for so long. We did mortgages. We helped people with short sales of their homes, get the most money we could for them, get them out of that debt. We helped an awful lot of people out on the retail side. Now you go sideways and go to the legal side of things. And what's so important that I want to know is this. We know things are going to happen, right? Things happen in life. You said it yourself. You got derailed. Man, listen, we need about 5 hours and an Amex Black Card to pay Vernon for my story. But we got to talk about how we're going to help people out, because when they get sideways, your collections that you were doing, this is the serious stuff. Now you're getting letters and you're talking about freezing accounts, garnishing wages, and really some serious stuff. And what I want to tell people is this. There's a lot of people out there that say, oh, you ain't got to do this, you ain't got to do that. There's a world of TikTokers out there that want to tell you this and that ain't ever been in that situation, and it bothers the hell out of me. And we want to make sure we get the right information, right, to the people that really need this stuff. So one size does not fit all. One credit card may not sue you. The other guy may go after you ASAP. Break this down for us and just give us some background on what happens and how we can avoid this stuff, because we've really got it. This is where we're going to really help some people out here from the credit side. So just from watching your videos and everything like that you've posted, I know you've talked about, the importance of keeping lines of communication open, things with your creditors, and just, not ignoring things. And so, look, and you also are telling people how, credit card companies really aren't trying to be aggressive towards you, right? It's just, that's the ramifications of poor credit decisions, right? So what I can tell you is that a creditor is not going to be so fast to litigate against you, right? They're going to give you as much opportunity as possible. Keep in mind that when a creditor sues you,
they have attorneys that have to go to an actual hearing. They have to go to an actual courthouse, and they have to fight for the credit card company. So a law firm doesn't necessarily want to have to go out and do that because they don't want to have to pay that attorney to go out to the courthouse.
No one wants to
right? And the creditor has to pay that salary also, so they don't want to have to go through that extent. To file for a complaint, you have to file that through the county. Depending on the county, Philadelphia, I think, is close to $400 just to file that paper, right? So there's a lot of fees associated on the creditor standpoint that are unnecessary. So they are going to give you as much opportunity as possible before it gets to that extent. However, once it gets to that extent, they still give you notice. So what the process is once it gets to the point where they want to sue you, then they have to file it with the county. A sheriff or a sheriff-appointed officer will go out, serve papers saying you are being taken to court. Once you're served that papers, you still have an opportunity to avoid that hearing. You still have an opportunity to amicably, handle that.
It's remarkable to me because when you talk to the customer, and listen, this is not pro-bank, this is not pro-customer, this is pro-communication. I've heard you talk about it several times just in that little rant you just did. I guess I'll call it a rant. Was it a rant?
I wouldn't call it a rant.
What would you call it?
I would call it
maybe I was ranting.
Informative conversation.
Informative conversation. So you talked about a lot about communication, but I'll bet you that when people get there, they'll be like, what do you mean you're doing this? And it's unfortunate because you don't see it, and then all of a sudden, it's really like a punch in the face. Mm-hmm. And it's a serious punch in the face. It's a Mike Tyson shot to the face, like in the movie The Hangover, right?
It will for sure knock you on your feet, man.
Yeah. So, all right, give me a piece of advice. I come home. Well, let's not say because I've already had this shit happen. All right, I came home to a foreclosure paper on my door, and I remember thinking like, Jesus Christ, what the hell, man? They didn't give me no shot. And then when I slowly replay it in my mind, I'm like, oh shit.
Yeah.
There was about 175 calls. Certain papers. And our good friend Nicholas is an attorney that was doing that, working in foreclosures, and he's like, dude, why didn't you call me? Now, long story midget, I did save my home, okay, not once but twice, and really know what it's about. But give the people give one thing. Just tell them something. Like you get that paperwork that says, hey, fella, you're going to be sued if you don't do.
Call. That is
the magic bullet.
That is the absolute least you could do is just call.
Just call.
Keep those lines of communication open, man, because you could always talk it out. These things the adverse things that happen to you is because you're ignoring it, right? If you don't ignore things, then there's no reason for them to go after you like that. Even if you are keeping lines of communication and expressing hardship, because look, let's face it, for the most part, we're in these financial situations because of a hardship, right? Temporary, long-term, whatever it is, but it is a hardship. So just explain your hardship. That will buy you time to get your shit in order.
Work out an arrangement of some sort.
Whatever you need to do.
Whether it's a payment plan or some sort. Listen, here's the key thing, guys. One size does not fit all, okay? So your friend may tell you what happened with him, but that might not be the same creditor, okay? It might not be the same age of delinquency on the account. It's so important. And we just talked about this on one of the things about just reaching out and telling somebody, talking to them, and see if we can work something out about it.
And let me just, as I'm thinking about this too, you have no idea how many times I've talked to a customer who has just been served paperwork, and they said, well, I consulted some attorney friend that said, ignore it. You don't have to pay this. That is the stupidest thing. If anybody ever tells you you don't have to pay something that you know you owe, that's got to be a red flag. And if that's not a red flag for you, then you got to check yourself, man. Because
I like to always say one size does not fit all, and if you knew better, you do better.
Love that.
But yeah, I mean, it's just you got to reach out and touch someone, right? Isn't that the old commercial? Isn't that the old phone one? But I thank you. I just got to thank you so much because I'm going to work a little bit harder. I don't know if that's possible. I think I do work pretty hard, but I want to thank you so much for coming on. And listen, we talked about Made by Natoli. You dropped some incredible knowledge on us. Tell these fine people where in the world they can find Made by Natoli to get some of these incredible shoes.
Instagram, made.by.natoli, Natoli. Fantastic page. And you're going to see some awesome artwork, awesome examples. Anything it is that you want to do art-wise, reach out to me. I got you.
Not just shoes.
Not just shoes.
You made that cool picture for me, too.
Yeah, man. Not just shoes. We got canvases, whatever medium you want, I got it.
We're going to drop some of that stuff in there. We're going to throw his Instagram up. You're going to see it. You're going to see pictures. I love how you spelled your name, by the way. I know that shit was for Bryan. He spelled it so slow. That was for Bryan. Guys, listen, this is the GSD guy. I hope this information helped you, but if it didn't help you and you know someone else that it can help out, please be sure to share it with them, okay? And of course, like, subscribe, do all that stuff. The YouTubers like it, the Instagrammers like it. We all love it. I'm the GSD guy, and we are out. Boom.
One step after the next is not okay to roll. Trying to wade through the rain, pain, and the cold. One step after the next. You take one step after the next.